So you decided you want to get involved in the stock market. You download your first brokerage account and you're trying to think of what stock should I buy? What should be my very first stock? What even is a stock? Which companies can I actually buy? Which companies can't? How does investing work? Guys, it's a lot easier than it looks, but there are so many people who make so many mistakes. So I'm going to show you exactly how to start investing, how to pick your first stock or even your first handful of stocks. I will see so many people download an app like Robinhood. They're looking through it, not knowing what to buy. They'll click on 100 most popular stocks and scroll through and do one of two things. Either buy the first company that they know the name of or the cheapest company they could find on this list. That's two things you should not do. That's not the right way to invest. And the reason why, even though there could be some good stocks on this, like I would agree Apple's a good stock. Tesla's overvalued right now, but probably a good future stock. And then you got a whole bunch of penny stocks. Weed is huge right now, so that's why Sundial Growers is on the top list. But will it really grow past $2? It could, but I would bet against it. I'd say it would stay around that $2 or $3, maybe even go down to $1. And you're not going to be making much money on that. You're going to think the stock market sucks, and you're not going to continue to invest. It's not the right way to invest. And more importantly, it's not the smart way to invest. There's a much smarter way to do it, and it's not that hard, guys. This is what you're going to do to pick your very first stock. You're going to get yourself a piece of paper and a pen, all right? And what you're going to do is you're going to go on your phone or in your closet or just look around your house, do something like that, and start looking for big name brands, okay? And then with the list, write down all the name brands. If we go to my phone and we start looking, let's see. All right, we have Facebook, so I'm going to write that down, okay? Now let's look for another one. How about Twitter? I'll write that down. We have Snapchat. I'm going to write that down. Spotify, write that down. Let's see. Is there anything else in there? LinkedIn. We're going to write down LinkedIn. You'll see where I'm going with that. But you're still going to write down all these big companies. Let's jump into here. Chase, we'll write down Chase. Let's see, how about Etsy? We're going to write down Etsy. Let's see what else. Gmail, okay. Let's see, what else do we have here? PayPal, we're going to write down that. Just go through all of your folders, go through your apps. Netflix. All right, guys, I have about 18, let's see if you can see this, 18, if it'll focus, different companies that I just found on my phone. These are apps that I have and that I use every single day or maybe every single week. This is what you're going to do. You're going to write down that list, and it doesn't have to just be on your phone. Look in your closet. What shoes are you wearing? What brand shirts are you wearing? Under Armour, I could write down. Items do you use? This is a Microsoft laptop. I have a Canon camera. Write down this list. The next step you're going to do, we're going to go to the computer. You're going to start typing in the company name and then stock. For example, Facebook stock. Hit enter. Look at that. It's a publicly traded company. And if you look right up here, it's on the NASDAQ. And here's the ticker symbol FB. So this is the next step. The lovely list you just created, you are now going to write the ticker symbol next to it. So you see that with my bad handwriting? Let's see, will it focus? Facebook FB. Ticker symbol FB. You're going to do that for the whole list. You're going to go through every single one and see if it's a publicly traded company. You may run into some that aren't publicly traded. That's okay. But then you may run into others who may not be its own company, but it's owned by another company. Here's what I mean. On this list, I have YouTube, okay? So if we go to YouTube stock, hit enter, here's what we have. Unfortunately, it is not possible to invest in YouTube stock directly. That's because Google acquired YouTube for $1.65 billion in 2006 and now owns 100%. Okay, so there's a lead. The lead is Google now owns YouTube. We like YouTube. We want to invest in YouTube. You have to invest in Google to invest in YouTube. So we're going to type in Google stock, hit enter. There we go. GOOGL. That's Google stock. So now we could write that down. GOOGL. Here's another example. LinkedIn. LinkedIn stock. Let's hit enter. Now you can see right here, if we click here, LinkedIn to delist. Why? Well, because Microsoft, MSFT, Microsoft bought LinkedIn. So you want to invest in LinkedIn? you should invest in Microsoft because Microsoft bought LinkedIn for a lot of money. If we actually search that really quick, Microsoft buys LinkedIn. Let's click on that. Here we go. For $26 billion, Microsoft bought LinkedIn. You want to invest in LinkedIn? Buy Microsoft stock. What's Microsoft stock? Let's type it in. Microsoft stock. MSFT. Let's write that down. All right, guys, now we're getting somewhere. I just completed my list. You can see right here. So not only do we have the company, but then we have the ticker of every single one. All right. So once we have that list, the next step we're going to do is you're going to maybe write a good or bad section on your piece of paper, but we're going to jump back to the computer, and there's a couple of different places we could go. We could stick with Google, and if we type in FB for Facebook, we'll type in FB stock. So then this will pull up. You can start looking at this information. That this is Google Finance, and it kind of provides you with how the stock is doing with the price chart. And you can look at all this stuff, which might be a bunch of jargon to you right now that you don't understand. But here you go. You could look on Google, right? What are people saying about Facebook? Click on this. Is Facebook a good buy? You'll then have a whole bunch of different links. Look at this. Here are Yahoo Finance. It's a great place to look up stocks. Market Watch, another great place with a lot of information. Investors.com, another great place. TheFool.com, I'm not the biggest fan of The Fool, but they still have information. Seeking Alpha, probably my favorite place looking up stocks. All I had to do was a Google search. We all know how to do that. Just type in the ticker symbol that you now have and stock, right? Or you can type in the full company, Facebook stock, whatever it might be. Make sure your list is around 20 different companies. I have 18 on my list. That's okay. But now you actually have to do some research. Doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to go crazy with it, okay? But let's click on, I said I really like Seeking Alpha. So let's click on that. And here's Seeking Alpha. And again, you may be overwhelmed by all the information that you see, but don't be overwhelmed by it, guys. You click on certain tabs. There's now a few ways to go about this, right? So if we look on Seeking Alpha, you can look at analysis, you can look at news, you could read this stuff, what are people saying about it, or you can do your own research. You could click on something like the financials. Now, I'm no financial expert, right? And I may not know what certain things are on the financial statements. You may not even know what financial statements are, but I just showed you in this video now how to get to financial statements. And with that, I think that at least deserves a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. But let's look at financials. Let's look at revenue, okay? Revenue means how much money they're making each year. This trend is going up. That looks pretty good, right? Maybe it's a good company to invest in. Let's scroll down. Let's see what else we have. We now found net income just by scrolling down. If you want to get involved in stocks, you start to learn these little things. You should at least know what revenue is and net income is. And now you know how to find them. But again, look at this. That is a nice positive trend. In 2016, they brought in $10 billion in income. 2020, they almost tripled. So you could start to form your own opinion. Okay, Facebook not only is making a lot of money in revenue, but they're also making a lot of money in income. Do a little bit more research with the company. Maybe that's a good stock to buy. Give it a check mark, okay? Then we move on to the next one. Let's then look at Twitter. So we search Twitter. Again, its revenue's going up. Its net income, well, in 2020, it lost over $1 billion. Might not be the best stock to invest in. I don't like to invest in companies that aren't making money. So I'm going to give that an X, okay? So guys, you see how easy this is? Look at this. I got check marks and X marks with my chicken scratch handwriting, okay? It's not that hard. Do this for all 20 stocks, right? And once you do that, then you could really look through, okay, out of those 20 stocks, how many have check marks? How many have X's? Get rid of the X's. You don't need to invest in them. Maybe out of that 20, if you can narrow it down to maybe 5 or 10 different stocks, now you have a good start. Here are 5 or 10 stocks that you may want to invest in. I would recommend doing more research, watching more videos on how to properly pick a good stock. But when I first started investing, guys, this is what I did. I thought of a bunch of companies that I knew of, and I looked at their earnings. I really had no clue what I was looking at first. I now know a lot more, and I'll encourage you guys to go and seek financial help with a financial planner, yada, 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 all that stuff. I never did that personally, but let's just say that so then we don't have some guy logging on here being like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Guys, it's not that hard. I mean, when I first started 3 years ago, I had no clue what I was doing. There were a couple of stocks that I really liked, or a couple of companies, that being PayPal, Apple, and Netflix. I invested in them. They're all making me money, okay? It's not that hard to invest. This is what I would encourage you to do. Don't go to Robinhood and just go through the top 100 stocks and just pick a random one you think is going to be cool. Actually write down the companies that you use every single day, that you are a happy customer from. See how they're actually doing online. You can just go to Google Facebook stock, Twitter stock, PayPal stock, right? It's that easy. And then we clicked on one of the sites, Seeking Alpha, my favorite, and you just do some digging around. You look at their financial statements. Look at what other people are saying. You could pay for some of these platforms, and you could look at their ratings reports and all of that. There's a million different ways that you could dissect a stock and figure out if it's a good or bad stock. But at the end of the day, no person knows better than the other, right? There's no secret method. You just got to do your own research and invest in companies that you believe in. There's always that inherent risk. Anything you invest in can go down. You can lose money in. That's the point of investing. You want to mitigate your risk by choosing a handful of stocks. You want to pick your very first stock, that's great, but now do that for another 5 or 6 or 10 or 12. You could find all over the internet a nice amount of stocks to hold on to is around 20. It's a great way to mitigate your risk. I doubt you're going to be investing in just Toys R Us, Blockbusters, and name any other company that went under in the past 20 years. The chances of you picking a whole bunch of losers, slim to none. So that's what you want to do. It's very easy to pick your first stock. I'm not kidding when I say write down a list. Do that. Then you can download whatever brokerage account you want. I have videos on my channel that then shows you exactly how to buy that stock. But guys, now you know how to pick your first couple of stocks. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one.